I would like you to sit with me for a few minutes. Have a cup of tea or coffee while I explain what we are doing on this YouTube channel. If you remember, in part 1 of this book review, we looked at the book The Shopping Basket by John Burningham. Publisher Red Fox, and illustrations also by John Burningham. So he actually wrote the book and he illustrated the pictures in the book as well. The Shopping Basket's one of my favourite books. I have read that story so many times to my grandchildren. And I have 3-year-old twin grandchildren, and they actually know that story off by heart. If I start reading that story to them and pause, they will finish not just the word that's missing, but the whole sentence. They adore that book and they have learnt so much from it. It's wonderful, for it's very repetitive, that you can recall what's in the book. You can ask children what comes next. You can focus on the animals in the book, in the story, or you can focus on the shopping basket that Stephen has and what goes in that basket, or you can look at the numbers, the maths. And a lot of your children and grandchildren will be doing formal maths at school. They will be sitting at a desk and they will be completing worksheets or work in their books, which is very formal. You can actually learn about numbers, adding, taking away, by using objects. So something concrete that they can actually see. And this is one of the things that's fantastic about the Shopping Basket book, because you can use all the items in that basket and help children count and take away. The book can help with recall and memory. So you could ask them, for example, which animal in the story said, "Give me those bananas"? Which animal in the book said, "Give me those oranges"? Most of the animals say, "Give me," but the first animal in the book, the bear, actually says, "I want." Have the children noticed that? You can ask them, which animal in the book said, "I want," and not "give me"? Lots of questions you can ask the children to see if they've understood, to see if they've remembered the story, and you can have fun with them talking about this, and they can ask you questions or you can ask them questions about what happens in the story. The vocabulary, you can also question, who said the word but? Who said the word squeeze? All this helps with the children for recalling and to see if they have remembered the story. The story can also help you to introduce things to the children, like bullying, for example, or threatening behaviour. So you can talk about what the animals did and what they said to Stephen. And if it was a person who said these things to you, how would you react? What would you do? Who would you go to? Would you tell anybody? So it can open up conversation about issues that are going on in society, things that are happening in school. Maybe it can help children to open up about things that have been said to them. And what do you think Stephen's mother said when she noticed that there was one of each item missing from the shopping basket? Do you remember? The animals took one of each item. So Stephen started off with 6 eggs in his shopping basket, but of course the bear squashed one of the eggs. So how many were left? 5. So there wasn't 6, there were 5. And the same happened with all the other food in the basket until we got down to the crisps. And then he didn't have the crisps because he posted them through the letterbox at number 25. So we're going to look now at the maths, the number, because when children are at school, they will be adding and taking away, especially young children, and getting familiar with the concepts of addition and subtraction. And how can we use this story and the food that Stephen bought from the shop to help children when counting and taking away? So let's go through this. Here's the shopping basket. And what did he buy first of all? 6 eggs. Let's count the eggs. Okay, you can do this with your children and grandchildren. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One of them is missing because the bear squashed it. So in the shopping basket, when Stephen arrived home, he only had 5 eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Take away 1 leaves 5. So we've got 5 eggs. He bought 5 bananas. The monkey took away 1. Do you remember in the story, the monkey ended up on the kennel of the nasty dog? So 1 taken away. So how many do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, take away 1, leaves 4. So you can go through the different items in this way. The last item in the shopping bag was the crisps. There's only 1 packet. That packet went through the letterbox. So you can say to your children or your grandchildren, 1 packet of crisps, take away 1. How many do you have left? Nothing. 0. So you're trying to get over the concept of 0 or nothing in the maths where the children are learning their numbers. Another thing I'd like to just mention is in the book they actually count down. So the first item in the story that John Burningham tells is 6 eggs. Then it's 5 bananas, 4 apples, 3 oranges, and so on. You can actually go the other way. Instead of it being dropping down, you can start with 1. So you can say to the children, 1 packet of crisps, 2 donuts, 3 oranges. So you can reverse that. So you can take away or you can add, so you're getting higher numbers rather than lower. To help your children and grandchildren with their number work, you can do simple adding and taking away sums with them using the items in the basket. So for example, you could say 3 oranges, add 2 donuts. How many does that make? And if you have the objects there, you have the items there in front of the children, making, they can see the objects, they're concrete. That helps them. You can do the same with take away. So for example, you could have some items in the basket, maybe 3 oranges and 4 apples. How many does that make? Well, that help the children to work that out. That makes 7 items. If I take away 3 of those items, how many will I have left? Hopefully the children will say 4 with your help. This makes learning fun because it's linked to the story, the John Burningham story, and also it's like a play situation, so they don't see it as formal learning. Now, with slightly older children, you can make it more difficult. So you could say to them, without giving them the numbers, you could say, add together the number of bananas in the story with the number of donuts. They have to remember, so recall, they have to remember those numbers from the story. Or you could say, take away the number of apples from the number of eggs. What will your answer be? This, again, will help him with addition and help him with subtraction in a play situation. It doesn't have to be formal when you are doing this at home. This book can also help children with like geography. So you might go through the animals and say, where might I find an elephant? Where do they live? And of course the children will say a zoo. But then you can also say, and before they got to the zoo, can you think where they lived? Which country they came from? And obviously you need to give them the correct answers, so I say, and talk about the different types of elephants. Or you could say, where do you think the goat lives? And they'll say, on a farm. So you can talk about that and maybe even talk about what they might eat. Lots of different ways in which you can extend the children's learning in terms of the geography and habitats of the animals. And one thing I'd like to point out is you don't need to have the actual objects or items in your home. You can improvise. So the shopping basket, for example, could be a cardboard box. Children don't mind if you use that as a shopping basket. If you don't have the fruits to go in the basket, you don't have the eggs, improvise, draw a picture of them. Or, you know, a lot of families today have the plastic fruit and vegetables that children play with. Just use those. You know, you don't have to go to a great deal of expense. And if you don't have the book, see if you can buy it online, maybe second hand, or go to the library, or go to a charity shop, see if they have the book there. When you go to our homepage, grandmacath.com, you will see information about the books we've used in the videos and any upcoming activities and projects.